Okay, I'm back again. Got the microphone over here. I'm trying to put it someplace where it'll work without me shouting since it's a little late in the evening down here. 8 o'clock is late in the evening, okay? Especially for me, all right? I'm an old guy. Anyhow, I just, every once in a while, when I do these things, I'm either talking about politics or family or something along those lines. And I don't get into the pessimistic views very often, but this one, very pessimistic, is a future of the planet. Look around outside. Go outside, look around, see if you see a haze in the sky. Then look around and see the kind of people that are running this planet. Not just the United States, not just the Trumps and the DeSantis and the Getzes and the Marjorie Taylor Greene people and everything like that. Just look at the world. Look how screwed up the world is. There isn't a world leader now that the rest of us can look up to. And we're not going to get one, especially if Trump and DeSantis or Abbott or some of these other idiots that are, even if Biden gets elected, we're not going to see that, and we're just not going to see it. And it's I think it's time that the people really started to take a look at these things. Latin America, Africa, Central America, those countries have a violent way of taking control of them. They just shoot the president and go on, and we'll get a new one. All right. Or they have an election right away and they change presidents and political parties, whole political parties, who controls the country. I don't know whether that's a good government or not, because the leaders are all the same. They're all screwed up. They're all messed up in the head, and I don't know. How do you go out and you find somebody that's to look up to these days? I mean, there's not a I don't want to say, I'm not going to take an American president, because I don't think, it's been too long since any of them have been worthwhile looking up to. You had Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Truman, and I think Truman was the last really tough president that we had. You've had you've had movie stars, you've had lawyers, you've had good men. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Obama was a good man. I think his administration is one of the most honest administrations there were. The Republicans hated him because he put Obamacare through, but that's they don't want to do any. They want to just stop it, but they don't have a new plan. So, but if you look around the world and you see what's going on, all these political leaders in these other countries have scandals just like we do. We used to be scandal free, but not anymore. So you have the scandals, and then you look around and you say, what are we doing? Well, you have big money and control of everything. And, down here in South America, it's a lot of criminal governments run by the cartels. You have the oil companies that you have to realize there isn't enough oil to keep going at the rate we're using it, at the rate we're using it. And I don't care if they dig under everywhere. It comes up, but there's different types of oil that when you explore for oil. I didn't know this, but there's different kinds of oils, different grades of oils that are used for different things. Some are used just strictly they're only good for lubrications. Others are good for gasoline, what have you. But there's only about, depending on how you use it, I'm going to say 40 years left, okay? Because we do reduce it every once in a while, the usage. Something comes along like a pandemic or something that really reduces the use of oil. And then you have coal. There's really no reason to use coal. It's not an energy source. They use it in making steel. but it's not necessary to make steel. Uh, it's basically a fuel for lower income countries and whatnot, and lower income areas of a country. Um, it's not really. It wastes more energy than you use it. It's not economical. It pollutes the air at a very high rate. So that's no good, and it's not here forever. You know, we're using what they call fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are brought about by finding, or made by dead and decaying um, prehistoric animals and whatnot, and some, I guess, afterwards too. After that period of time. But there's not a huge storage of that. I mean, we have atomic energy. Some people are very, very afraid of atomic energy. And in some ways it is. It's very dangerous because it needs to be controlled at all times. It can be very volatile. Accidents can happen, what have you. We have two sources of energy out there that they're energy though. They can't be used for anything else. They can't be used for. They can be used for power, and that's about it. And that's wind and solar. So if you took the energy factor out of oil and gas, and coal, they're not that bad then. And we would be able to breathe the air in 30 or 40 years. At the rate we're going, we're not going to be able to breathe the air in 30 or 40 years. And that's, you can look all this information up, and you'll find statistics that'll scientists that'll tell you this, and whether you believe it or not, that's, it's like artificial intelligence. Stephen Hawking when he died, was considered to be the smartest man on the planet, and he said that artificial intelligence could be the greatest enemy of mankind, which makes sense you can look in the movies. They said it in the movies, and it's true. When a artificial intelligence becomes what they call aware, and I'm not sure, I don't want to get into all that, but it's basically that they become almost human-like in their thinking processes, and they look around, especially if you give them a command like protect the planet, and you look around, and you realize that the greatest threat to this planet is us. You know what's next, all right? So yeah, there's a problem with that. I mean, they're telling you can now get programs that will write plays and stuff. That's just ridiculous. We're becoming a useless entity, but we're still a destructive entity. Artificial intelligence uses a great deal of material to create itself. It also creates a certain amount of pollution in the air and in the ground and whatnot by its usage. I mean, it's like computers that like what we're talking on now have so much bad stuff in them that they're very, very, very hard to get rid of, and they damage the soil, and they damage the people that are doing it, that are taking them apart and whatnot. That's why they tell you not to work on a computer yourself. And I don't really know if the people that work on them know that. But I sit around and I'm saying to myself, I said, well, what are we going to do? I mean, look, anybody over the age of 30 probably doesn't have a lot to, we're going to be around for a while, you're going to die off naturally and whatnot. And you might not experience the worst. Those people out there that are under 30, and especially people that are just being born, they're going to suffer the most the way this world is going. Not just this country, this world. We think in terms of countries, but it's a world problem, and we're not addressing it as such. You have people in the United States that are billionaires and multi-billionaires, and they don't give a shit about you. Just like politicians, they don't give a shit about you. Do you think that that a 66-year-old politician, senator, governor, president, whatever you have, gives a fuck about you? If you're 30 years old, do they really give a fuck about you? Do they care whether you're going to have enough money to retire? Do they care if there's going to be a planet for you to retire to? No. All they're worried about is being able to get a lunch reservation and a golf membership. You know, that's the way life is. I have no idea what can be done or what should be done, but I am pretty damn sure that unless something is done, what I'm saying is going to happen. Um, you're going to run out of oil, and unless we have other methods of propelling cars and stuff like that, and then only a few people are going to be able to get it. And based upon the prices of the stuff that's out there that does, like electric cars and whatnot, you know, it's not going to be the average job. The guy on the street, you know, the guy working in the grocery store is not going to get a new car. Not at the prices that they're selling the stuff at now. All right, and a used car is going to be a combustion engine, which in 30 years will probably will probably have to be banned, or there won't be enough fuel to run them. All right, now people say it's a pessimistic view. It's not. It is. It is I shouldn't say it's not. It is. But the thing is that it can be stopped. It's not irreversible. You know, even when they tell you it's irreversible, it's not irreversible. It can be stopped. We can straighten this country out. Don't ask me how. I'm not a genius. I just know it can be done. I have faith that it can be done. So therefore, I think there's people out there that can do it. But you got to get, we have a generation of people that can't get their noses out of away from their cell phones, or they're like me and they can't get away from a computer. So that's, we have to get that back to the sciences of figuring out what to do, and you're not going to do it with a cell phone. I'm not worried about privacy. What I say whatever I post publicly, and most of my accounts are open to the public, and I don't care. There's nothing there for them to steal, so. But if we don't go out and start trying to save this planet, all right, or save this world, rather than saying, okay, we want, this little country in Africa has got diamonds, South Africa, they want, and they've got all the diamonds, most of the diamonds in the world, and they go, we want this, because our diamonds are worth a lot of money, and we'll get them out of the ground any way we can. Or you've got you got a country like Saudi Arabia that don't give a shit about pollution or anything else. They just want to sell their oil. And I mean, half those people don't even live in that country. It's like Dubai. Nobody from Dubai lives in Dubai. It's all they can't afford it. The people that built all those buildings, they can't afford to live there. But that's what the world is headed for. Even if we developed a way to get off this planet, like you see in some of the movies, it's not going to happen. Only a certain percentage are going to get off. Yes, the rich people will take people like me and you and some other regular Joes, because they'll need somebody to cook, clean, and wipe their asses, because rich people don't do that shit. Rich people, I doubt that Bill Gates could invent anything right now, to do with the internet. I don't think he other than using the internet to promote his company's products and whatnot, I don't think he could do anything. Elon Musk is the same way. He doesn't invent jack shit. He pays people to invent shit. You know, people came to him with a lot of wacky ideas, and he decided to invest in them. And then some of them worked really, really well, and that's how he's made his money over the years. It's the same with all of them. You know, the days of an Edison, you know, becoming rich, inventing things like the light bulb, I think are pretty much gone. The guys that invent stuff now, the way they work, you know, they don't have the, like in medicine, it's so expensive to do medical research that these doctors and these brilliant minds have to work for somebody else. And when they go to work for somebody else, that somebody else takes control of their property. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Takes control of their intellectual property. Therefore, they don't become billionaires, at least not in real life. I mean, they, you know, maybe on paper they're billionaires, you know. Like Donald Trump is a paper billionaire. He has got absolutely no cash assets whatsoever. His cash assets are what people give to his super PAC and whatnot. And if you want to know about that, look it up, because I have the faintest clue how they work that one. But I wish I'd known about that a long time ago. Maybe I would have gone into politics. But my theory is that even if rich people are able to save their lives right now by leaving this planet and colonizing another world or whatever, I don't know how they're going to live. You know, most rich people are basically useless. Some of them can, you know, fry an egg. Some of them, but they're not going to build anything other than maybe a house. You know, and what difference does it make what the house looks like if you're on a new world? All you want is a place that's going to keep you safe from the elements. You don't even know what you're going to eat. You can only we'd have to start tomorrow colonizing a planet in order for this world to go someplace and survive. And you see a lot of planets that say they had life on them. What happened to that life? Did they have extinction events happen to them? Or did they just fail miserably because the people couldn't survive because they couldn't get along? You know, a class structure of elite and poor doesn't work real well. Ask France. You know, back in the day, when the French Revolution happened. Our revolution wasn't based so much about the rich and the poor, but France was based upon pretty much on the rich and the poor. The poor got pissed. So, I don't know whether I'm making any sense. I mean, there's not a lot of detail for me to be able to go into because it's not. I don't know all the facts involved in this stuff, but I do know it's going to happen if we don't do something. And I pretty much know there's not a hell of a lot being done right now. You know, people are arguing about everything. Well, we don't want to do this because we're getting very powerful. And we're going to control the world. Well, you can control the world, but if there's no world to control, what the fuck good is it, you know? So I have no idea, like China, you know? We don't want to be part of this. We're part of the cause, but we don't want to be part of the cure because we're powerful and we're gonna take over the world eventually. Maybe yes, maybe no. But let's say you take over the world tomorrow morning. And you keep operating the way you're operating, the world won't be there. You know, the thing that happens with pollution and climate change and things like this is that people are going to go out, get pissed, and take what you have. You know, that was the big thing about gasoline running out, oil running out, is that you're not going to have gas to move plants and move food around the world. So there's going to be war. There's going to be internal strife. You know, and then you're going to have warlords, and the warlords are not going to last long either. You know, so I don't know if we're going to survive as a race or not. You know, and I'm talking about the human race. I'm not talking about African race or Jewish race people or whatever. I'm talking about the human race. I think it's in trouble, and because of a good portion of our traits, which is not generosity but greed, narcissism, whatever else you can think of that's bad. Those are a lot of our traits, and until we can eradicate them, I don't think this world will ever be safe. And now I'm worried because of artificial intelligence, because everything I've read from science, from people that are a hell of a lot smarter than I am, say that's a very dangerous thing. It's not a good thing. Well, look, I probably, bored the hell out of a lot of people right now, and they don't really give a shit about what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take off for tonight, and I am going to try and do these more often, but I do have a lot of things I do, and I do take a lot of naps and stuff because I'm an old man. But anyhow, have a good evening. Antonio is still with me. She's someplace, I don't know where. Oh, actually, Antonio's on the floor. Hold on. Let me see if I can show you a picture of Antonia. Hold on a minute. Okay, remove this camera. Yeah, I know I have enough wire. So let's see if we can do this. There she is, sleeping behind my chair. At night, she comes behind my chair in this room. During the day, she doesn't like to be in this room. I think it's quite possibly too hot in here for her, or something along those lines. I'm not really